Hi, my name is Jeff Ahrens. I am going to be teaching your Network OS class this summer. I've been teaching math, IT, computer science, various stuff at the Missoula College for about 11 years now. Um, let's see, for this class, my goal is to be available from roughly 11 to noon during June. So, every weekday during June, that's my goal. There might be a little bit of variance here and there, but I'll try to communicate when I'm not going to be available then. Um, During July, this is going to be slightly different because I'm going to be also teaching a summer camp or a couple of summer camps. So that's going to have to be pushed around a little bit. Fortunately, I think that means I'm probably going to end up being in the evening if we need to meet over Zoom. Um, Hopefully by that time you'll have a bit of you'll be in the swing of things, and you shouldn't need a whole lot of additional help once we get there, because I think that'll be what the last 2 weeks of the class. Yeah, and it actually slows down a little bit toward the very end. So I think that'll be fine. If you need to meet with me outside of these scheduled times, the 11 to noon, um, or if you need to meet during July, basically, um, I'm absolutely open to scheduling some times to meet. I'm here to help. That's my position here, is to help you get through the course. So, um, as far as actually meeting with me, how that's going to be done, I think the easiest way is going to be over Zoom. There's a link in the Moodle page. If you click on, what is it, under welcome and what, instructor information, there is a link to my Zoom room that I'm going to be in during those times. I'll try to figure out an easier place to put that, an easier place to find that. I'll send it out in an email about that. So let's see, that's where, if you want to meet with me during that time, go into that Zoom room or send me an email and I'll send you the link again. I suppose that'll work too. Let's see. This course, Network OS, we're actually going to be approaching it from primarily looking at Windows Server, giving you some practice working with Windows Server. Windows Server is a very, very popular operating system in an enterprise environment. It's, definitely, you'll definitely see it if you go work for most companies. Linux is definitely up there as well, but we're approaching this one by looking at Windows Server. There is a decent amount of assigned reading for this course. Unfortunately, there's just no way of getting around that. You can watch videos, but you don't really absorb it. Frankly, I think they end up taking longer. Um, I don't know. That would basically just be somebody reading all the information. It's a lot of information. That's one thing you're going to notice a lot with many things in IT. There is a lot of information that needs to be passed on, and I think the most efficient way of doing that is by reading. You can go back and refer to the material later without having to comb through hours and hours of videos and things like that. So we'll also be doing a decent amount of hands-on labs. So these labs are going to be primarily, most of the labs, I'd say, are going to be through an Ascend Education. It's an online text. That is the required text, the one that you're going to be having to pay for this course. So there's a lot of different labs through them. There are going to be some additional labs using like Vagrant, running virtual machines on your own computer, and just a couple other miscellaneous labs. So in any case, with most of these labs, in general, when you deal with labs, it is very possible to just kind of go through the motions on the lab, do this thing and then do this thing and then do this thing. If you're just going through the motions, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of these labs. You kind of have to really, in order to really learn, you have to play. So you have to just try messing with things. Most of like the labs on Ascend, um, The worst thing that'll happen is you have to restart the lab. Yeah, that's some time. It takes, takes a little bit of time to restart the lab and do all that. But you can definitely learn a lot more by just trying what happens when I do it this way instead of just following through the directions. Playing around with it a little bit is definitely it's a good thing. I encourage you to do it. Of course, get the labs as they're stated done, but then go back and play around with them some more. Make sure that everything's working, and then try to break it and try to fix it. It's like I said, that's how you learn. That's really how you cement a lot of the concepts that we're going to be seeing. Some of the speaking of Ascend, some of the quizzes that are administered on the Ascend platform, I don't exactly like all of those quiz questions. Some of them are, I don't know, they feel like questions that weren't fully covered very well before they actually show up. So with those quizzes, I do want to point out on the Ascend, all the Ascend quizzes, you are allowed 2 attempts on all of those quizzes. And between those attempts, you can actually see what your mistakes were on the first attempt. So on your first attempt, do try to go through it and answer, do some research, try to answer them as best you can. But if you do get them wrong in the first attempt, well, you have, look to see what you got wrong and fix it on your second attempt. So you should be able to, on all of those quizzes, I imagine you should be able to, if you're putting in the extra effort there, you should be able to get 100%, even if the quizzes are a little bit, even if the questions are a little bit weird, because you get those multiple attempts and you get to review between the attempts. So just keep that in mind. There are quizzes on the Moodle as well, on our Moodle. Those ones you do not get the additional attempt. When you're getting ready to take a quiz, it'll say if you're how many attempts are allowed and any sort of restrictions or anything like that. So just read through those so you know what you're in for when you're going to take the quiz. Most of these quizzes, I think the longest quiz we have is 7 questions. All the Ascend quizzes are 5 questions. Many of the Moodle quizzes are less than that. Most of them are probably less than that, I would say. So these quizzes are not intended to be long. They're intended to be addressing the reading. So I expect you to kind of go back and forth between the reading, read a bunch of stuff on the Moodle, and then do the appropriate, the corresponding quiz, and then go back and do some more reading, and then do another quiz, and so on. I think it'll be most advantageous for you to kind of go back and forth like that. All right, the required textbook. Like I said, we were going to be using the Ascend Education Server 2019. That particular module, I don't know what to call it necessarily, that package. It does include a bunch of labs, and there is unfortunately no real way of getting around having to pay full price for that I know of. It costs $139 for the access, and then they charge like a $4.50 convenience charge or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous in my opinion. So in any case, it should be about 100. It should be $143.50. I think is the exact price that you'll end up paying. As far as I know, I don't know if I don't think any buying it online. Like if you buy a used copy, that code has probably already been used, and you wouldn't be able to put it in because when you pay this money, you're actually paying for a code, and then you input the code to be able to gain access to stuff. So I don't know of any way of getting around paying that $143. It's more expensive than I would like you to have to pay, but that's just kind of where we're at right now. As far as actually finding the where to pay for that, there are in the on the Moodle page in the welcome area. Scroll down a little bit. It says introductory information and product activation. It's the product activation. That's where you can actually purchase the stuff. But you'll want to look around at that a little bit on there as well. There is an optional textbook as well for this class. Windows Server 2019 Administration Fundamentals. It's in the where is it? It's under required textbook. I figured that was best place to put it. There's the required textbook, that's the Ascend Education stuff, and there's optional resources. That is this this additional one that I'm talking about. It's, I don't know how to pronounce this, Beckham Doughty. Um, in any case, that one, there are you can actually do that one online without any additional cost to you. Go to the Mansfield Library website. So my.umc.edu, click on library, and then search for that particular book, and you can view that one for free. There is some good information in there as well. I haven't actually checked out the Wiley textbook, the Windows Server Administration Fundamentals by Wiley. That one is left over in there from somebody else who was teaching the course. So I imagine he pulled some of the stuff that's currently in the course from there, but like I said, I'm not familiar with it. So I'm just leaving it there. Let's see, this course is definitely at an accelerated pace. We're going to be going through all the content in 5 weeks. And on Moodle, you'll notice there are 15 different topics, I think they're called. So the math there is pretty straightforward. I think we're going to be going through 3 topics per week. It ends up being a decent amount, kind of. Well, there's no getting around at the fact that we're going through this quickly. The first week we're going to go through sections 1, 2, and 3. The next week is going to be 4, 5, and 6. The next week after that is 7, 8, and 9. You'll notice at the end of week 9, or rather topic 9, the end of week 3, I should say, there is a midterm. The midterm is going to be 2 parts. Part of it is from Ascend Education. The other part is on taking basically Moodle stuff. The Ascend Education, I believe those questions are just the quiz questions. So if you're as you're doing those quiz questions, kind of make sure you're not just forgetting them immediately. The Ascend Education quiz questions, that is. Those ones, they're going to show up on the midterm, and they're also going to show up again on the final, because the final is going to be 2 parts as well. So jumping ahead a little bit here, at the end of week 5, there's a final, I should say. And again, it's going to be 2 parts. Part of it is based on the stuff on Moodle. The other part is based on this stuff from Ascend, and those Ascend questions are, again, those quiz questions. So hopefully, I'm just telling you this so you know what to expect as you're going through the course. Let's see. In general, assignments will be due on Sunday nights. So yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot to say about that. 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So everything from sections 1, 2, and 3, you'll want to make sure that's done by Sunday night. Because this is such an accelerated course, I don't recommend letting yourself get behind it all. I don't plan on giving any extensions. Of course, life does happen. If you do need an extension because of something that happened, talk to me and we'll figure something out. But in general, I don't plan on giving any extensions. So there's that. Your grade for this course will be based on just a percentage. The weighting, the weights, I forgot. Actually, I don't think I have that written down. I will look at that really quickly. Your labs are worth 35% of your overall grade for the course. Your quizzes are worth 35% of the overall grade for the course. And then the midterm and the final end up being worth 30% of the overall grade for the course. So it's basically almost a third for each of those. Yeah, and it's just going to be, I'll just do percentages there. As far as how I'm going to be grading the labs, as long as you've done most of the lab, you'll get 100%. I'm going to kind of be a bit coarse there. I'll try to be lenient as well, because I do recognize you don't have a ton of time to spend on these things. So submit the required screenshots. That's generally how you submit the labs. You just take screenshots when you're prompted to take those screenshots, and those are the things you submit. That's not always, actually, yeah, I can't recall if there's any other. It'll say in the lab, in the labs, what you're expected to submit for each of them. So you can just kind of read through those, pay attention to that. My recommendation is to set up a like a Word document or yeah, just a Word document. And as you're going through, put those screenshots in the Word document so that they stay in a nice order. And if there's any, oh, that's right, there are some additional questions on some of the labs. So you can put your answers for those questions right in line. It's easiest to just do it in like a Word document. It kind of keeps it all organized. Other than that, yeah, the class starts on Monday. So hopefully you are not completely overwhelmed with everything else this summer so far. But hopefully you learn a lot of good information in the course. So I'll see you around.